I woke up to the sound of chanting. Not birds, not my sprinklers. Chanting. When I pulled back the curtains, I froze. There, right in the middle of my backyard, were 15 people in matching yoga mats, stretching under the morning sun like they owned the place. And leading them was her, Karen, the self-appointed wellness director of our homeowners association. Now, I hadn't signed up for any yoga class. I hadn't even agreed to host one. But there they were, on my freshly mowed lawn, surrounded by my garden furniture, acting as if my property was the new community park. I stormed outside, still in my slippers, and shouted, "What the hell is going on here?" Karen didn't even flinch. She smiled calmly, hands pressed together, and said, "Namaste, John. The HOA voted to expand the community's wellness program. We needed an open, peaceful space. And yours was perfect. Perfect for them, maybe. For me, it was a nightmare. My privacy was gone. My fence gate wide open. My lawn covered in yoga mats. And to top it off, someone had set up a speaker blasting Zen garden music. When I demanded they leave, Karen tilted her head. "John, as a member of the HOA, you agreed to contribute to community activities. This counts as contribution." That's when I realized she wasn't just trespassing. She was using HOA authority to justify it. I called the HOA office immediately, but the receptionist said the board had already approved the event. Without notifying me, without asking permission, without even a text, I felt trapped in my own property. The sound of deep breathing and ohms echoed through the yard like a mockery of peace. And the final straw? When Karen told me to keep my negative energy off the property. My property. That day, something snapped. If the HOA thought they could walk all over me in the name of community spirit, they were about to find out just how wrong they were. Because I wasn't about to lose my backyard, or my freedom, to a bunch of self-righteous suburban yogis. I had a plan forming. One that would make the HOA regret ever setting foot behind my fence. The next morning, I expected peace. Maybe even an apology. Instead, I woke up to the same sound. Chimes, breathing, and fake tranquility. Karen and her yoga disciples were back. This time, they'd brought a banner. HOA Community Wellness. Sponsored by your friendly neighbor, John. I almost choked on my coffee. Sponsored by me? That was it. I grabbed my phone, started filming, and walked right out there. "Everyone, listen up," I said loudly. "This is my backyard. You're trespassing." Karen, mid-downward dog, looked up at me with that infuriating calm smile. "John, please," she said. "Don't disturb the positive energy. We're aligning our chakras," I replied. "The only thing that's going to align is my lawyer with your HOA paperwork." Laughter rippled through the group until I held up my phone. "This is being recorded. You're all on private property without consent." That finally got some movement. A few of them started rolling up their mats. But Karen, she wasn't done. She walked up to me, whispering like she was the voice of reason. "John, we all voted. The HOA allows shared use of outdoor spaces for community enrichment." "Shared use?" I snapped. "This isn't a park. This is my land. My property line starts right where you're standing." She smirked. "Not for long." That line chilled me. What did she mean, not for long? Later that day I found out. A notice had been slipped under my door. Proposal to rezone the south section of Lot 12 as a shared access green zone. My lot, my backyard. They were trying to legally claim it. I attended the HOA meeting that night, ready for war. Karen sat at the head of the table, acting like a benevolent queen. "We're simply improving community harmony," she said. "John's backyard has natural shade and open space. Ideal for wellness activities." I slammed my fist on the table. "Ideal for trespassing, you mean?" The room went silent. I presented my video, proof of them invading my yard. You could see Karen's face drop for a split second. But she quickly recovered. "The HOA board will review this," she said smoothly. "In the meantime, yoga sessions will continue as scheduled." That was the moment I realized logic wouldn't work here. I wasn't dealing with neighbors. I was dealing with a cult, wrapped in HOA bylaws. And if they wanted to play dirty, I could play smarter. That night I didn't sleep. I sat on my porch, watching the fence line, replaying every smug word Karen had said. They wanted to rezone my backyard? Fine, two could play the paperwork game. I started digging, through my property deed, HOA rules, county records, everything. And that's when I found it. A clause buried deep in the HOA charter. It stated that no community activity could take place on private property without explicit, written consent from the homeowner. Bingo! But I didn't stop there. I needed more than rules. I needed leverage. So I did what any fed-up neighbor would do. I got creative. The next morning, while Karen and her followers were setting up for their sun salutations, I put up bright orange construction stakes around my yard. Big, ugly, unmistakable. When Karen came strutting over, she asked, "John, what's all this?" You're ruining the peaceful atmosphere. I smiled. Oh, this? Just marking the ground for the new fenced enclosure I'm building. Gotta protect my private property. Her face tightened. You can't build anything without HOA approval. Oh, don't worry, I said, holding up my phone. According to the HOA Charter, Article 7, Section D, I can build any structure under 8 feet tall without board review. And guess what? A privacy fence qualifies. That shut her up, for once. But the real show started 2 days later. I posted flyers around the neighborhood announcing my own event. John's Backyard Boot Camp, community fitness for everyone. At 6 a.m. sharp, people started showing up. Not yoga mats this time, weights, speakers, jump ropes. And the best part? I had explicit written consent from every participant. Karen stormed in furious. You can't do this! She yelled over the thumping music. Oh, but I can, I said, waving my signed consent forms. See, I'm just promoting community wellness. Just like you. Her eyes blazed. She called the HOA president. The police even tried to file a complaint about noise violations. But when the officer arrived and saw my property lines and legal paperwork, he sided with me. Ma'am, the officer said to her, he's within his rights. You might want to take your yoga class somewhere else. Karen's jaw clenched. Her little kingdom of calm was crumbling. But I wasn't finished yet. I had one last move, a quiet one that would end this feud once and for all. After weeks of tension, my backyard had become a battlefield, half yoga retreat, half boot camp. But under all that chaos, I was preparing my final strike. See, Karen and her board had one weakness. They thought no one ever read the HOA bylaws. But I had spent hours combing through every page, every clause. And that's when I discovered something explosive. Karen's entire community wellness initiative had been funded with HOA dues, our money. But she never filed the mandatory expense reports required by state law for nonprofit neighborhood associations. That meant she wasn't just annoying, she was breaking the law. So I documented everything. Every yoga session, every flyer, every donation she collected. I compiled it all into a neat, damning report. Then I sent it straight to the county's housing compliance office. A week later it happened. I woke up to a fleet of white government cars parked outside our HOA office. Officials were walking in with clipboards and cameras. Karen was there too, flustered, trying to explain everything. But this time her charm didn't work. By noon, word spread through the neighborhood. The HOA was under investigation. That evening, a notice was pinned to everyone's mailbox, effective immediately. All HOA-sponsored activities are suspended pending audit. No more yoga. No more harassment. No more Karen. When I saw her that night, she didn't even make eye contact. For the first time, she was quiet, defeated. A week later, she resigned as HOA wellness director. Shortly after, the board voted her out completely. But the story didn't end there. The investigation revealed years of shady financial decisions, unapproved expenses, favoritism, even a few mystery fees charged to homeowners. By the time the county was done, the HOA had to restructure entirely. Every policy now required full homeowner consent, including any community activities on private land. When the new board president came by to apologize, I shook his hand and smiled. No hard feelings, I said. Just don't put any more yoga mats on my grass. He laughed nervously. You have my word. That weekend, I finally got my backyard back. Quiet, peaceful, mine. I sat in my lawn chair watching the sunset. When my neighbor Linda called out over the fence, "Hey John, any more boot camps?" I grinned. Nah, but if anyone wants to do yoga, the front yard's open. Sometimes standing up for your space isn't just about fences or laws, it's about reminding people that respect isn't optional, even in a community. And when the HOA tried to take mine, I reminded them whose name was really on the deed. Before Karen comes back with another yoga class, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments whose side you're on.